Joel has, in great depth, discussed with us how the fourth industrial revolution is in full swing and how it is going to affect all of us, all the companies, but even each one of us in our personal professional capacity. For me, about a year ago, I was absolutely excited, and I'm still excited when ChatGPT arrived. During the rest of the year, other platforms launched. What is known today as AI has been around for a long time. Most importantly, or visually, when you have Spotify or you have Netflix, any of those platforms that study you, track you, and try to make appropriate suggestions to you. This type of stuff has been known as machine learning. In the last year, artificial intelligence has become to be known as what they call today as large language models. That would be the generic name for ChatGPT. And the exciting thing is we can see how this artificial intelligence, I would dare to say, is already more intelligent than all of us individual human beings, because it's able to pull together the collective wealth, the massive amount of knowledge that's available on the internet, and is able to make it very accessible to each and everybody. It is going to impact on how we are going to run our businesses, how we're going to operate as professionals. And I'm going to talk about the first slide is called a top-down approach to implementing artificial intelligence. But as I just discussed, ChatGPT and all of that, this is not an organization-specific tool, but they are available for everybody in the same way. But when we, for example, are a bank and we want to come up with a way to make sense of the new tools, we need to create a customized application. Now, the problem with things like ChatGPT, etc., is that they're not personal. They're not confidential, rather. They're very personal in the way they answer to you. But if you put information in there, it is probably going to go to the whole world. So a bank, for example, can't do that because they're holding a lot of personal information. So now how do large organizations customize the available tools to make them specific to their business function, to their business needs? And these are large-scale organizational transformation projects. Those who work in bigger organizations, you have heard of ERP or things like SAP, and they have for over 20 to 30 years been implemented in a common style. So I'll be talking about how can we on an organizational level implement these projects, these artificial intelligence projects, but I'm going to concentrate to what is relevant to you as people practitioners. Historically speaking, all organizational transformation projects that were technology driven went through similar stages. The first stage is called as is. The company, the consultants ask themselves, where are we today? Then they're going to say, where would we like to be? And then they try to design the bridge that takes us where we are today to where we want to go tomorrow. Once the architects have come up with the design, now we start building it. It's called implement. And as we are implementing, as these new tools are functional, we need to measure, we need to monitor whether we're coming or going, whether we're winning. And before we have implemented that new technology, it's time to start replacing it already because technological change is so rapid. So we're starting to go back and continuously re-involve. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stages that are common to all implementations. We do that across 4 dimensions. First, the strategy people will say, where are we as a company today? What are our competitors doing? What is the technology allowing us to do? And they start to come up with new strategies. The technology guys are going to ask themselves the same question. In terms of large-scale modules, the question is, what data do we have? because this is all about making sense of information. What data do we have? How do we gather it? How do we clean it up? And once we then have the data, now which tools are we going to use to crunch it? So we have ChatGPT, but today there are other tools available where companies can protect their privacy, their need for confidentiality. So they need to choose the right language modules, and then they have to train them and then start rolling out these technologies. So we're going to look first at what is the company doing on a strategic level. Then we say, what technology can we use to implement those new strategies? And then the next thing is processes. The same question will be, now that we have new technology, how do we need to change our processes? And now I come to the real topic I want to talk about. What does that mean for us as practitioners, HR practitioners, change management practitioners, training practitioners? So the first step, as is, what do we have? What kind of skills do we have in our organization? And we're going to say, what type of new skills do we need tomorrow? Now, we start with the skills audit, and Joel talked about our technology plan. Linked to that, when we need to say what new roles, what new function, what new job descriptions do we have, and then what type of skills does that require? I'm always sad when I see, for example, a bank retrenching people, a big company retrenching people. What that really tells to me, they didn't do what we just discussed. They all of a sudden are caught with their pants down and they say, hey, we don't have the talent we need. We don't have the kind of skilled people that we need. Let's retrench the unskilled people. What a tragedy. It's not only a tragedy for the company, a tragedy for the individual, it's a tragedy for the country. Technology is going to make a company or a country successful, but if we are not proactive, it's going to be not an opportunity, but a disaster. So it's vitally, I can't emphasize enough, important that our people, managers, that's you, are part of the technological conversation, that you're part of the plan, that you are proactively, strategically develop the new talent that we need. Okay, here are some more details below. You can read them when you have the presentation. So I talked about how can people's people, how can you be joining in your company's road to technological transformation. But while that is, we are in the early days right now, those technologies that can be customized to the needs of specific organization are in their very early stages. I will predict that you will see then in the next 1-2 years, these type of artificial intelligence initiatives, as we just discussed, you can see them coming on board. But the revolution is in full swing in your organization already. So you all, or I think many of you, are already using tools like ChatGPT, but there are many other tools. In the first 2 months after introducing ChatGPT, about 2,000 new tools have come on board. They're overwhelming. So at iFundi, we're very excited and we ask ourselves, how can we use those tools to become more efficient, more productive, more creative inside iFundi? And this is our approach that I would like to share with you. First of all, I do believe the education and training landscape has been totally changed. Uber disrupted transport, right? Airbnb disrupted the hospitality industry. Those large language models, let's call them ChatGPT, there are other ones, have transformed education. Yesterday, when you go to university, I used to say to my daughter, you're not going to university, you're going to an essay writing and a multiple choice institution. In other words, we all have been through that ourselves, but assessments have been done in a way that ChatGPT can do. ChatGPT today can pass a lawyer's exam in Harvard. So the total old-fashioned approach of assessment is gone. And I do believe that a massive opportunity exists in our QCTO environment, outcome-based education. We're not asking how well do you memorize something. We're not asking how to write an essay. We want to see how do you apply those skills. So the emphasis is no more on memorization. The emphasis will be on skills. So we have asked ourselves at iFundi, how can we take quickly advantage of those new tools? And we did it in the following, no, that's why I went into this long discussion about the new learning. Einstein said, the foundation of learning is curiosity. The knowledge is changing so fast, regurgitating past knowledge is quite irrelevant today. What is relevant is, are you eager to learn? So therefore, we need to create a personal culture of learning, a personal culture of curiosity. Therefore, organizations need to drive consciousness, the awareness amongst their individuals, their colleagues, the people who sit on your workbench. No, this is not artificial, theoretical stuff. I want to see in a meeting that my colleagues are using the tools available. So, for example, if we have a videographer at iFundi, I want to know that he's using the new AI tools and recommend it. So we're not trying to change from the top down. Rather, I want to see the change. I want the knowledge to come from the bottom up. That my junior colleagues telling me where the future is. So that is all about the center of this picture, individual curiosity. Now, I just mentioned to you, we have a videographer. So his role is videographer. Now, what sort of function does his job entails? For example, he has to edit the software. For example, he has to create new videos. He may have to clean up the sharpness of the picture. He may have to improve the quality of the voice. For each of the things that I just mentioned to you, it takes me to the third point. We have different tools. Each of the functionalities that I talked about, a specific tool is available. Not one, multiple tools are available. So then we need to sit down and say, let me test those 3, 4, 5 tools and come back and say, of the 5 tools that I have looked at, this tool number A is the best. We select the tool. Once we have selected the tool, now let's use it. Let's test it. And I may say this actually doesn't work like I want. We may change our selection, but we need to test it. And once we have decided on what tool to use, it needs to become part and parcel of our day-to-day working style. So the center of everything is individual curiosity. Then I talked about the 6 stages on how to choose and work with those tools. But the whole thing, ideally, is embedded in organization-wide, departmental-wide initiative. The first phase, let's discuss with my colleagues what we're going to do. Let's discuss the parameter, how we want to approach this setup. Once we're clear what we want to do, we go to our colleagues. We launched the initiative, we initiated. And as now our people are using those tools, let's ask them to report back to us. And when they use the tools, reward them properly. In that way, we're entrenching change, curiosity, innovation. A lot of things that were said earlier, no, we need a culture of learning, we need a culture of innovation and all of that. For most people, when they say, oh yeah, innovation, yes, yes. No, it must be an organic living thing that is in your team. This is not some artificial stuff. I painted the opposite picture in the previous slide. Those large-scale organizational transformation need to be done in a very scientific, systematic fashion that are not driven by an individual, okay? But I do think the tools that are available to the large public, to all of you, the model that I just presented to you could work well.